This is how you know Al Jazeera is really bad. When Palestinian extremists in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, in the PA, acknowledge that they need to ban Al Jazeera, that's how you know Al Jazeera is really bad. Be unbiased. What do you need to denounce in Palestine? You guys are a news channel from Qatar. 2025 has just begun, ladies and gentlemen, and we are in for a rocky ride. We are going right off the news of the horrible incident in New Orleans. I'm purposely censoring myself. I'm not allowed to talk about it according to YouTube censorship rules or guidelines, or this video will get demonetized. Most of these videos are demonetized anyway, so that's just a side thing. But so if you want to support the channel, really giving on Patreon, all that stuff is the best way. But yes, we're reeling off those horrible situation in New Orleans to a more peculiar and interesting story, which is the fact that Al Jazeera has now been banned in the Palestinian Authority, also known as the West Bank areas of Judea and Samaria. So we've got a whole thing to jump into right now. This is actually crazy. I always bring you guys the most craziest stories, and we're living in a reality now that is genuinely incomprehensible. Let's watch the video that Al Jazeera put out, because Al Jazeera put out they're pissed. Let's just say it that way. They're not happy about the situation.
We're bringing you some breaking news now. The Palestinian Authority has suspended Al Jazeera from broadcasting in the occupied West Bank.
Get effed, Al Jazeera. You guys suck. The fact that you're allowed on YouTube is insanity. You guys have propagated and pushed nothing short of literal read my lips, because I can't say the word or YouTube will demonetize us. I know that's ridiculous, but I still need to make a living. You guys have propagated literal terrorism for years now. You, AJ Plus, and all your stupid little syndicates and offshoots that come under you. Every single one of you. You're all the same garbage.
PA is accusing Al Jazeera of broadcasting what it calls provocative material and reports that it says are misleading.
Yes.
The decision will affect Al Jazeera's offices and its employees working in the occupied West Bank. This comes just over 2 months after Israeli soldiers raided Al Jazeera's occupied West Bank bureau in Ramallah and shut it down. All right, Hamda Salhoud joins us on the phone now from the Jordanian capital, Amman, because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting there.
I just want you guys to take a look at something with how Al Jazeera, I've wanted to talk about Al Jazeera for a long time, never had a good opportunity to jump into the conversation till now. I want you to take a look at how Al Jazeera presents himself to. You have a perfect, light-skinned, English-speaking Arab who is just as brainwashed and extremist as everybody else. Yes, this person is he's a walking and breathing mouthpiece for literal terrorism. That's what he is. But he's come out in a suit, perfect English speaking, so people will take him seriously. But the slip up comes when he speaks that perfect Arabic and he goes, Ahmed al, and that's how you know. That is how you know. Not saying that all Arabs, everybody who speaks Arabic is of these ideas, but a vast majority are them. A vast majority of them are. Vast majority. So just remember, when you're watching this, even though it feels professional and he's wearing a suit, he speaks perfect English. I'm on 35 seconds of this video. I haven't even let the guy talk yet, and I'm already judging him this hard. But just remember, everybody on Al Jazeera is exactly the same way.
Hamda, tell us, what more do you know about all this?
Well, Mohammed, the Palestinian Authority has released a statement saying that it did decide to stop broadcasting and freeze all of Al Jazeera's channel operations. They say that the decision came after, quote, Al Jazeera insisted on broadcasting incitement materials and reports that they say were misleading. However, it's important to note that the Palestinian Authority previously banned Al Jazeera from reporting in Jenin back on December 24th. And that is because of the coverage on the Palestinian Authority raids on resistance fighters in...
There you go, okay? This is just what to explain to you. This is how you know Al Jazeera is really bad. When Palestinian extremists in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, in the PA, acknowledge that they need to ban Al Jazeera, because Israel just banned Al Jazeera in May. That's how you know Al Jazeera is really bad. Really bad. Listen to how she framed that sentence right there. And I'm going to give you guys context because I am sure that none of you guys heard about what happened in Jenin just about a week ago in the mainstream news. None of you guys have heard about it.
Back on December 24th. And that is because of the coverage on the Palestinian Authority raids on resistance fighters in the occupied West Bank.
Look how they frame it. When they say resistance fighters in the occupied West Bank, that is Hamas. Anybody that tells you it is not Hamas or Hamas does not exist in the West Bank, take them to the bank, slap them in the face. Say, hey, buddy, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what I just said. I'm still kind of sick. I don't know what that was. That was a weird analogy. Hamas exists and thrives in the West Bank. Thrives. I wish I could upload and show you guys what I have personally seen, but let me just tell you, I've personally gone in to Palestinian refugee camps and personally verified that Hamas exists in the West Bank. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I'm not making up any things. I've gone in as a journalist, and I've seen that with my own two eyes. They're not only are they alive and well, they are thriving in the West Bank because most of the Palestinian population, as we know, both in Gaza, the West Bank, abroad, support Hamas. Hamas and the Palestinian people are intertwined. They are one and the same for the most part. There's a very minute, small population of Palestinians that do not support violent muqawama or resistance. So she calls them resistance fighters. It's Hamas. The Palestinian Authority works with Israel on security intainment and security, and they are the most foregoing and accepted body of Palestinian governance in the world, both by the European Union, America. That's when America talks about making a deal with Palestine or with Palestinian whatever, they're talking about the Palestinian Authority. Now, what happened about a week ago in Jenin, which is a city in governed by the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, a Palestinian city itself? The Palestinian Authority started raiding, brutally raiding, like really, I saw some of the videos from there. I can't describe in detail. Horrible stuff. Like way worse than anything you've seen the IDF do in Gaza. Way worse. Just rampant in the streets on these Hamas fighters. And so, of course, Al Jazeera went in there and said they called it a massacre. A massacre. Read my lips. Massacre. And they're doing all their clickbaity things. And they're calling the Hamas fighters, they're calling them resistance fighters, and they're forming it to make it seem like it's some sort of resistance. Now, here's something you need to know. The Palestinians, the population of the Palestinians, they hate the Palestinian Authority. Why? Not that the Palestinian Authority is any good, because they pay literal terrorists. They give them money after they commit terrorist attacks. That's what the Palestinian Authority does. But the Palestinian Authority is the closest thing that Palestinians have to a sense of democracy / stepping into the modern world. And Palestinians reject that outright. They hate that. They love Hamas. You guys don't believe me? Watch my interview that I did with a Gazan girl who supports Hamas. And this was just a random lady who messaged me in my DMs on Instagram. It wasn't premeditated. I didn't look out for her. She DM'd me, asking me for money. And I just asked her some simple questions about life in Gaza, and it turned into her supporting Yahya Sinwar and Hamas openly. So don't take my word for it. Trust the Gazans when they tell you what they want and what they believe in. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a dirty Jew. Don't believe me. I'm a liar. I'm a lying Zionist. Don't believe me. Believe them when they tell you. Anyways, the PA did this giant raid, and Al Jazeera came in to cover it and covered it in their horrible way. Instead of giving any sort of context of explaining that these are literal Hamas fighters, they just call them Palestinian resistance and make them seem like the underdog in the same way that they do with Israel. In the same exact way. The PA was like, screw this, we're shutting you guys down. By the way, this has happened in Jordan and in Egypt and in Saudi Arabia. We'll get into it in a bit. But Israel is not the first, and the Palestinian Authority are not the first places in the world, especially not in the Middle East or the Arab world, to shut down Al Jazeera because they're literal terrorists.
PA has been conducting its own raids that are separate from Israeli forces. We're used to the Israeli military conducting raids on armed Palestinian fighters in the West Bank, but the Palestinian Authority has stepped up those raids in the last 4 weeks. And because journalists have been reporting on that, the Palestinian Authority decided to take measures of its own. It's important to note that the Palestinian Authority, though, is not so popular amongst the people that it is supposed to govern. And these crackdowns
it's not popular at all.
Places like Jenin have killed several Palestinians, and just a few days ago actually killing one Palestinian woman who was a journalist while she was walking in Jenin.
It's unbelievable to me. Palestinians are like, they must have the highest density of women, children, and journalists on planet Earth. Every time something happens in Palestine, it's a journalist that got unalived. Every time. There's no men in Palestinian society. Men don't exist. It's only Palestinian journalists, women, and children, or men that identify as a woman and child. It's as if the Palestinian society is literally wholly made up of the family value system of Palestinians is a journalist, a woman, and a child. There's no such thing as a man in Palestinian society. It doesn't exist. Just journalist, man, and child. What is this? Every time something happens in Palestine, it's a journalist that gets injured. It's a woman that gets injured. Is it only me that realizes this, or is it literally the biggest sham on planet Earth? But also, this is Al Jazeera's reporting.
And Hamda, we know that on December 24th, the Al Jazeera Media Network put out a statement condemning what they called the incitement campaign initiated by Fatah in the West Bank against Al Jazeera and its journalists. They said particularly against Al Jazeera correspondent Mohammed Atrash for covering the clashes between Palestinian National Security Forces and Palestinian resistance fighters in Jenin. How much does all this perhaps tie into that and the fact that this coverage has been ongoing and it has been so controversial that these raids that have been conducted by the PA in Jenin have been ongoing as well?
Well, look, the job of a journalist is to report the facts, the truth on the ground, and to hold leadership accountable when they need to be held accountable. And the Palestinian Authority, in this case, did not want any sort of coverage on the raid.
Or maybe you guys are literally affiliated. Maybe that's the reason that you guys are literally affiliated. You guys are one and the same. This is the problem. I'll tell you what the problem with Al Jazeera is. The main issue with them. They seem, especially for dumb Westerners who don't understand, and I don't mean to disparage white people in this, but I'm talking about dumb lefty white people in America who take these people seriously, or in the West. They see Al Jazeera, and on its front cover, surface level, the cover of Al Jazeera, it looks like a professional news network. It looks like a professional Western news network. It fits all those boxes. Other than the fact that the logo is in Arabic and you kind of can tell something is off, it looks like a professional Western news syndicate publication. It's got all the checks, all the bells and whistles. But if you dig one layer deeper, you realize that it's not. It's actually a really clever way to infiltrate the West and start doing serious jihadi propaganda on Western civilization. They've been doing this forever through ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the coverage of the Taliban, the cover of Hamas, the cover of Hezbollah, the cover of the Houthis. They've been doing this for such a long time. They've been doing it for such a long time. Maybe this will be the thing to wake people up in the West. I doubt it. I doubt it big time. I don't think anything can wake people up in the West at this point. But my God, is it satisfying to see them get banned from this place? Is it satisfying?
It's that it was conducting across the occupied West Bank. Al Jazeera, of course, denounced the campaigns of incitement that the Palestinian Authority was brought.
Why do you need to denounce your journalism? You're journalists. What do you need to start denouncing stuff? Be unbiased. What do you need to denounce in Palestine? You guys are a news channel from Qatar. You come from the Khalij, from the Hijaz, from far away. Why are you colonizing what's happening in Palestine? You have nothing to do with Palestine. You're coming as journalists. You should be unbiased. You come in there. You don't need to denounce things. Then you ask yourself why you're being banned.
Broadcasting through official channels, through members of its government. But nonetheless, the coverage continued on the raids and the Palestinians who were killed as a result of the Palestinian Authority. So the PA is taking this measure and they're saying that it's temporary. But of course, Al Jazeera is now not so unfamiliar with being banned. It happened back in May when the Israeli government banned Al Jazeera from reporting in Israel. It happened in the occupied West Bank when the Israeli military had banned the operations in the occupied West Bank, and then that ban was not renewed. But the Palestinian Authority decided to take matters into their own hands and ban the network entirely for its coverage and truth-telling about the facts on the ground when it came.
Their coverage and truth-telling. These guys are a bunch of 5-year-olds with cameras. Their coverage and truth-telling. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, and this is your first time being exposed to the lies of Al Jazeera, I don't know how much in the loop you are. I know a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people have been watching my videos, doing these reaction videos. Really appreciate you guys. It's amazing to have you guys here. I really, please do drop a like and a comment on the video. I love reading your comments and engaging with you guys, especially since there's so many new people here from all over the world who are watching. I don't know how many of you guys are in the loop of what Al Jazeera has been up to and its shitactory over the last couple of years in the Middle East. But just so you know, this is a small win for all of us in the Middle East.
Came to the PA's raids, which are widely unpopular amongst the Palestinian people living in the occupied West Bank, who are all...
Of course, because the Palestinian people have a problem with terrorism. They have an issue. They struggle with it. It is a part of their society they have an issue with, Al Jazeera. They struggle with it, and you embolden them.
Already going through so much, to begin with life under occupation, but also a dire economic situation that has just been worsened in the last 14 years.
It's really not that bad, okay? I've been in the West Bank many times. Palestinians are not in a dire financial situation. First of all, everyone here is in a dire financial situation, considering there's a war happening where 7 different armies have been attacking Israel and Palestine. Okay, so anybody living in the West Bank has also been under the threat of rockets from the Houthis, from Iran, from the IRGC, from Iraq, from Syria. It doesn't stop in Israel, by the way. Rockets have fallen and killed people in the West Bank, Palestinians, on multiple occasions. So everyone's struggling financially, but I promise you something right now. In Ramallah, in Nablus, they still have Popeyes. They've got McDonald's, and they've got their restaurants, and they've got food, and they've got water, and they've got electricity, and they're not struggling. Their refugee camps are not real refugee camps. I've traveled around the world. I've been to 64 countries. Spend one day in India, one day in the slums of India, even in the Philippines. Go to the slums in the Philippines, in Manila. Palestinians should be grateful for every refugee camp that they have. That's my honest opinion. Go look at my videos where I've been to Ramallah. I've walked around Ramallah. I've been to Kalandi. I've walked through the entire refugee camp. There's full-on buildings. Buildings way nicer than the building my grandma lives in Israel proper. So don't come at me with this whole thing that they're living in this and that. The only people who really are living in some sort of condition like that, close to that condition, are Bedouins. Okay, and Bedouins are living in those conditions kind of all over Israel and Palestine and in Gaza. Because one, they're kind of ex-casted from society on the Arab front. Arabs don't really see them as real Arabs, even though they're actually the only real Arabs. But Bedouins are like, they really get treated badly by all facets of Arab society. In Israel, I don't think we've done nearly a good enough job to take care of for our Bedouin brothers and sisters at all. But they're the only people who are really living in that poverty-stricken situation where you go to their villages and a lot of times you say, wow, that's rough. Not all of them. There's a lot who do live in cities and, are in good condition. But there is a problem with Bedouin society where they haven't been able to take that leg up. But normal, everyday Palestinians and Palestinian refugee camps do not live in camps and tents the way that they make it seem to be. At all. They have full-on buildings, electricity, TV, PlayStations. They got everything. Don't believe it. They have iPhones.
18 months since Israel's war on Gaza began.
All right, that's Hamda Slahout on the phone.
Guys, still a little sick. Sorry with the coughing.
For us from Amman in Jordan. Thanks for breaking that all down for us, Hamda. We'll come back to you for more details as they emerge.
Anyways, listen, that's as much Al Jazeera propaganda we need to watch. I think I added really, really great commentary. Wanted to just touch on, I'd like to also get an Israeli source on this, Ynet News. Palestinian Authority suspends Al Jazeera operations accusing channel of incitement. PA bans Qatari news network's broadcast citing incitement and interference in internal affairs and freezes its operation following coverage of terror crackdown in Jenin, which PA calls incendiary. The Palestinian Authority officially announced Wednesday its decision to suspend Al Jazeera's broadcasts. This Hamas condemned so this is how you really know that it's effed up. Just go. You don't need, all I need you to do is use your common sense. All right, just follow the paper trail. Ask yourself a simple question. Do you support Hamas? Yes or no? If you support Hamas, you're a bad person. Am I judging you for it? No, but like objectively, you're a bad person. Hamas is bad for everybody. Palestinians, Jews, humankind. It's a bad thing, needs to be eradicated. But if you support Hamas, you go one path of the trail. If you don't support Hamas, you go the other path of the trail. Now we're going to read a simple sentence, and we're going to make a decision. Are you a bad person or a good person? And you can deduce for yourself if Al Jazeera being banned or being shut down is a bad thing or a good thing. Ready? Here we go. The channel alleged that PA forces were responsible for death of a journalism student during clashes, a claim the PA denied, asserting its troops were not present in the area. The PA noted that the student's brother was a wanted Hamas operative, and she had ties to PIJ and Hamas-affiliated groups. And of course, Al Jazeera protected and defended her, because they support Hamas. Hamas condemned the PA's decision, calling it a blatant violation of press freedom. Hamas accused the Palestinian Authority of a blatant violation of press freedom. This is the same Hamas that's currently holding 100 hostages in terror dungeons in Gaza. Some of them are dead, deceased, and rotting, decaying bodies that have been held there for over a year. If you don't believe me and you need to put a name and a face to each one, I literally made an amazing video yesterday. You can go watch it on my Twitter, on my Instagram, on my YouTube. It's on everywhere I make videos. You can attach a face to every single one of the names of the hostages that are still in captivity today. Women, multiple children, young women, elderly men, Ethiopian, Tanzanian, Thai, Nepali. This Hamas is not somebody who should be giving any thoughts on a blatant violation of press freedom, considering freedom is not a term that Hamas understands. So if you read this and you're like, you know what, this is horrible. The PA is oppressing press freedom. What does Hamas know about press freedom? What does Hamas know about freedom? What are they even interjecting in the conversation? They accuse the PA of silencing dissidents. This oppressive move is a part of a series of arbitrary measures the Palestinian Authority has lately adopted to restrict public rights and freedoms and strengthen its security hold over the Palestinian people, Hamas said. Listen, guys, I don't really need to go any deeper than that. You know, that tells you everything that you need to know about the situation. If Hamas is on your side and telling you you're doing something bad, you done fucked up. Let me just tell you something. If you're on that side, then you're already doing it wrong. There's not really any more commentary that I need to add. This whole video could be boiled into that one sentence. That's all the commentary I want to give on this. I'm sorry, guys, for the lack of streams, lack of content. I'm still really sick. I'm getting over that. Hopefully next week we'll be back in action with some cool live streams. Join my Discord because we're going to be relaunching our Discord very, very soon. If you want to buy some merch, this is my logo. That's all. You can get some hats like that. That's also my merchandise, travelingclad.com, thetravelingclad.com. Join my Patreon. Please, it really goes a long way to support me. Please consider dropping me some money to support what I do here because everything I do gets demonetized lately. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, Klets.
If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to monetarily support the channel. Some of the best ways to support me happen to be PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining our Patreon community. Links to them can be found in the pinned comments or the description of every one of my videos. Joining my Patreon community gives you access to exclusive content and the chance to talk to me on our Discord server. I also go live almost every day here on YouTube. And after my live streams, me and my patrons from Patreon head over to our Discord server to an exclusive after-party hangout. Your support is the only way that I can keep creating the content that you love watching for me. Thank you.